Hey, this is Jason Chabot, one of the candidates for the Port Moody Coquitlam riding representing the People's Party of Canada. Let's talk about the subject of vote splitting. No matter what conversation I happen to be having, whether it be on the phone or in person, when this topic arises, there's definitely a change in tone. There's an increase in genuineness in the questions that are asked. Are you aware that you could split the vote? What about the Conservative vote? You don't want to split the Conservative vote, do you? Maxime Bernier has answered this question in many ways. He's made it clear that one should vote according to their values. And instead of voting against a party, one should vote for a party. He's also explained that it's not just the Conservative voter who is interested in the PPC platform. In fact, there are many voters from the NDP party who are interested in knowing more about ending supply management. And then you have the Chrétien liberal who are no doubt wondering how it would be possible to balance the budget within 2 years. So vote splitting, when I hear those terms, or that term, it reminds me of firewood. I think, it's going to be a cold winter, and if, we could just split enough votes, I think we'll be okay. Now, obviously vote splitting is linked to numbers, and so maybe if we could get rid of the computer, I guess that might be the only way of not having to discuss this subject. There is a way of getting beyond the subject, and that is to have a candidate with a message of conviction, that have that ability to focus on just Port Moody Coquitlam, and to maybe see past distractions that may be happening in other ridings. But back to the numbers, because it's reasonable to ask, well, what happened in 2015? Well, in 2015, there was almost 55,000 votes cast. I'm rounding a bit. I'll post the actual report from the Wikipedia page below. But in 2015, there was over 54,000 votes cast in Port Moody Coquitlam. And of those, 19,000 were for the NDP, 17,000 for the Liberals, 16,000 for the Conservatives, just over 1,800 for the Green Party, and almost 100 votes for the Marxists. If you could picture BC Place being filled to capacity, that's a good representation of how many people voted in the Port Moody Coquitlam riding in 2015. It was roughly about a 70% voter turnout. Now, one number that's hard to explain is the effect that advertisements have. They no doubt are able to excite a party's base. And then there's another category that can also cause those same people to yell at their TV even louder. But what is often the case is those same advertisements have an effect on that person who may be voting for a different party this year. However, unless, I should say, there is a candidate that does emerge with that message of conviction, there's reason to believe that the same result that happened in 2015, the same overall result, will also occur in 2019 in the Port Moody Coquitlam riding. Now, vote splitting also is mentioned from a national standpoint. One thing to keep in mind is that no matter which party forms a government, there will always be an opposition party. And that's why it's so important to elect a candidate with that message conviction. Because that same person who is able to stand their ground against a well-funded resist movement will also be able to hold the government to account. That's why the ability to confront the underground cash economy with labor law enforcement is a political conviction for me. It's the only way of protecting Canada's immigration and refugee policy. It's a message that will pass all the tests. How about you? Yes, you, holding that cup of coffee. Why not visit the peoplespartyofcanada.ca website and test your convictions? Read the platform. And if you're already a PPC member, how about inviting someone else to join? Tested political convictions are the only way of getting beyond the subject of vote splitting. Visitez partipopulaireducanada.ca. Merci pour votre attention. Thank you.